I'll be taking us through the reins of this class, especially the Microsoft Excel part. And in every class, I always like people to always contribute, because the core reason for having a class or having any guide or tutorial or whatever it is for contribution. So it won't make any sense if we keep having the class and there's no response, like there's no contribution from us. And the core goal of the class is for us to understand whatever we are being taught. We are not doing the class so that everybody does teach and then that it ends at that. The reason this class is holding is for us to be able to learn and understand, like understand very, very well. And just like Madeyinka said earlier, when it comes to data analytics, it's not a one-time thing. It's not something you just do once and then you feel you know it. I mean, time and time again, you need to keep keep checking out what you've done over and over again. And that's the place of note taking. So I will employ every one of us to at least have a note that would that will have maybe just a note by our side that we use to take different notes or jot down things in this class, because certain things is not everything you have to fit into your brain. There are certain things you have to write, and also by writing things down, it also helps in sticking to our brain, because by the time you write out certain things residually, those things just stay up in your brain. So yeah, so first off, we'll be starting with a basic introduction of data analytics. Um, I'm going to be sending a link now in the chat box. I'm hoping we'll all be able to access it. So I'm not using a slide. This is more like my version of slides that I'll be using for this class. Let me just share my screen. Okay. I'm hoping my screen is visible. Is my screen
Yes, it
visible
is.
to everyone? Okay. Okay, yeah. So there is no Excel, there is no SQL or Power BI um, or Tableau or whatever it is without the core basics that brings everything together. So which is data analytics. And okay, so I'll start from here. First off, um, data is everywhere. Like we have data everywhere. Data is just basically the collection of facts. And we collect facts at different points. As a matter of fact, this class, for example, that we're having now, we've generated as much as possible data. For example, as Adenika is talking, if someone had probably been recording her voice or whatever she has been saying, I mean, it's already the person has already taken up data. As this class is now, we have recordings of this class. The class is currently being recorded, and that is like a collation of data. So data is just a collection of facts, and these facts could be in different forms. It could be in numbers, it could be in words, it could be in letters. I mean, different forms. And the data that is being collected, they are always in raw formats. Like I said the other time, whatever words have been spoken over time right now has no meaning except we put a meaning to it. I mean, in its raw form, in its raw formats, the videos or the conversations that we've been having so far, if there is no intention to gather, like to analyze or take out certain things from what we've been saying since morning, it will be useless. So the core reason why we gather data is so that we'll be able to make use of whatever we gather after we've gathered them. So data in its raw formats is not useful at all. And like I said the other time, we collate data at different points. The food we eat, I mean, if we try to probably take note of everything we've been doing today, say for example, from when you woke up and different things you've done today. If you probably decide to make it a sequence and you start doing that every day, that's a data collection. And say you've gathered a data on Monday, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At the end of that week, you can make something out of that records that you've gotten. You can make something tangible from whatever you've gathered. For example, you can decide to, okay, based on all of these things that have been happening so far, which time do I wake up from all of these data? Say, for example, on Monday, you woke up probably around 6. On Tuesday, maybe around a particular time too. If you gather if you gather those raw facts, if you gather those raw information consistently, you'll be able to pick out certain things from that information. One, you'll be able to know the average time you wake up. Like, okay, I think I wake up around 6. And you also be able to know, okay, this particular day I woke up very late, or this particular day I woke up very early. And this is similar to what happens for some of us. For some of us that probably uses iOS, we'll find out that every Monday there is a notification that comes on your phone, and that notification talks about your screen time during the week. You might most likely not be paying attention over the course of time. But on Monday, you just see a notification that will show you the average screen time that you've spent throughout the whole week. And that is more like how data collection and raw information, that is more like how they work. And another example could also be, say, for example, the information we post on our social media. Another example could also be maybe for people that are gym rats that go to the gym. It could be probably a record of things we do in gyms and all of that. So data, we have data everywhere. I mean, the our what we buy, what we sell, what we eat, our mobile phone transactions, our banking app transactions, these are data that we gather at different points in time, even though sometimes we really don't know that we've gathered those data. So the point of making a meaning to those data, the point of making a meaning to whatever raw information that we've gathered or whatever facts that we've collected at different points in time is data analytics. So with data analytics, we're able to analyze and process all of these raw facts that we've gathered and be able to make it into a meaningful insight. We're able to pick out core points from the things we've gathered. So it is not enough that we gather this data. It is not enough that we gather all this information. Like I said the other time, those information will be useless if we don't make meaning out of it. So the point of we collecting all of these things and analyzing it, say for example, throughout the course of this class now, for example, if someone had probably been taking notes or probably been collating all the words, you can decide to probably make meaning from what I've been saying since morning. Okay, say, okay, which specific word have I said the most in this class? Or which specific word have I made mention? Or which words have I said the least? Or the number of words I've said over time, for example. So by doing that, I've been able to make meaning of all of those collections of data, of all of those informations I've gathered over time without analyzing it or trying to get an insight from it. Those data will just they'll just lay fallow without any use for them. So the core reason why this class, now we have this class, is so that we'll be able to gather data, but it does not end that we gathering the data. We'll also be able to make use of this information that we've gathered and be able to make meaningful decisions from them. So, and this information that we've gathered, it does not even end at the point where we just analyze them. We are also able to probably make recommendation maybe in subsequent times. Say, for example, maybe for example, you try to print out your banking statement from January now, for example, and you decide to analyze your spending, at different points across the whole months. If you are intentional and you're intentional about the data you gathered, you would be able to see a whole lot of information. Like you'll be able to see a whole lot of insights from those information. For example, you'll be able to see, okay, this is the total amount I've spent across this across this time. You would not only that, you also be able to see that, okay, this is what I've been spending. What did you say?
Hello, you can go on. Hello, Mr. Dayo, are you with us?
Sorry about that. I had network issue. Can you hear me now? Is my voice audible now?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so the other time before the network went down, I was talking about if you decide to say download your banking statements and you decide to make meaning out of it, you'll be able to see, okay, this is the month I've spent the most money, this is the month I've spent the least money, or probably this is the week I've spent the most money. Not only that, you also probably be able to see, okay, these are the things I spend my money more on. Say, for example, maybe for some people, you see that, okay, I've probably the core of my money I've been going into buying data or doing data subscription. Or maybe for some people, you'll probably be able to see that, okay, the core of my money I've been going on InDrive and Uber and Bolt on transportation majorly. So with all of this information, with all of these insights, you can now make an informed decision that, okay, maybe I need to start cutting off the money I spend on this particular category and probably spend more in this particular category. Or probably maybe I need to start saving more, those kind of things. So it does not just end at just analyzing those data. Those data are also able to help you to make certain decisions. They are also able to help you to start making um, smart business decision. So yeah, so like I said, after you've interpreted the data, your work as a data analyst, or the core work of a data analyst, is to now not just collate the data. It does not end at collating the data. It does not end at analyzing the data. It does not end at probably even making a dashboard or showcasing whatever data that you've gathered, but you also have to go one more lens or one extra lens to make recommendations or make business decision or make informed business decision based on the data that you've collected. And that is basically what's data analytics and being a data analyst. That is basically what it involves. And it does not end in a specific industry. I mean, there is data analytics in almost every field, in the financial field, in the business field, in the sporting sector. I mean, a whole lot of football teams, basketball teams, they have as much as 30, 40 analysts that helps them make certain decisions or probably check out historic data of their team, of their players, or different records about the team. And it does not even end at that. Even religious institution, if they see it as something important, they also gather data to make informed decisions. Say, for example, in a church setting, you can decide to probably gather your data to see, okay, this is the caliber of people I have in my church. This is the age range I have in my church. This is the demography of people, probably their location, where they are coming from. This is their occupation. Different information about these people that you can over time be able to make different decisions on it. Say, for example, you can decide that, okay, I think we have more members from this area, so probably we need to start intensifying, or probably find a way probably to provide buses or something for people in that area. Or it could be another totally different thing, that okay, in this particular location we are not having a good number of people, maybe we need to go out more or reach out to people in those areas. So it does not end that in a particular industry. It is almost in all industry. It is very, very important. In the music space right now, we have artists, music artists, using data to know where their fans are listening to their songs, and they choose those areas. You just find out that they decide to use those specific areas to do their tour. I think one time the data analyst at Mavins was saying that one of those things that helped them in making a decision for Rema then to have there was one time Rema did, I think, an Asian tour or something, was because of the data they collected and the data they gathered, and they found out that they have a whole lot of fans that were listening to their songs from India or from those Asian regions. And they thought it wise that since we have a whole number of people listening from this region, it would be much more wise to have a thought. So it does not end at a specific industry. We see how wide the data space is, and also in the fashion space. I mean, different space. I can't keep mentioning all of the space that we have that we make use of data and make it effective. So it does not end at a particular space. So having said that, we have we have four main types of data analysis. And the first one is descriptive. So when you have a data you want to analyze, the first thing you want to check from that data is, okay, what happened? Make say, for example, let me use a business data, say a retail store, for example, now. And probably after gathering their data, after doing their analysis, and they've probably found out certain things. The first thing they want to ask is, what happened? Why do we have sales that is low in this month? Why do we have what happened to this month that the sales here is lower than this month? Or what happened that this particular period is when we have high sales, and all of those questions. So the first question they would most likely ask is what happened, to particularly know what exactly is happening. And then the next one is, you make a diagnostic. Okay, you've asked what happened. The next thing you want to know is, why did this happen? So, okay, what happened that we have low sales here? Why do we have low sales here? So from your why, you're able to see the exact reason. Okay, say this particular period is a festive period, so you have lesser people in that region. Or say, for example, because your business store is in a student-centric environment, so anytime they have holidays, there is always a drop in sales. That is the why. So that is why you have a drop in sales around a particular period of time on your chart. So from you questioning what happened, you are also able to diagnose and also able to see why this happened. Then the next thing you want to do is now the next type is the predictive type, where you want to what is likely to happen in the future. So now you've gathered the data for a month, I mean for a year or 2 years, you've seen the same pattern happen last year, you've seen it happen also this year. So what is likely to happen? Say you are probably entering into that same period, you are also able to see that, okay, based on what has happened historically, based on what has happened at this point, and there's a continuous pattern at these other points too. So there is also a possibility that the same period of time, that same pattern will reoccur. So that is the next thing you now have to do is after you, because there's a prediction that this is likely to happen, you've been able to check out historically that, okay, this has happened this month, this has happened this month. Historically, you have seen the pattern that has happened over time. So you are also able to know that this is also going to happen in the next coming months. And if it's whether it's a negative or a positive pattern, then the next thing you want to do is prescriptive. That is, you want to um, know what exactly is the best course of action. So you found out that you've had low sales. You always have low sales in January across different points in time. So maybe you now want to think, okay, what exactly would be the best course of action? You might probably now start drafting different course of action of what you need to do. Probably you need to intensify your ads, or probably you need to create like a referral scheme for your clients or your current clients to be able to like bring in more people. Or probably you found out that, okay, over time around this period, you always find out that you are not able to retain a good number of your clients. Then you would want to, after you've probably been able to know why it is happening, you know that it is most likely going to happen again, then you would want to like create a prescription so that that same thing would not reoccur again in the forthcoming month. So that's basically what the four main types of data analysis is: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So having said that, now we are now going to move to the process of data analysis. The process of data analysis. So the first step in analyzing data, or the first thing you want to do to analyze data or to do anything around data is that you want to define the question you want to answer. So what do I mean by defining the question you want to answer? So before you embark on collating your data, before you embark on putting out a form, putting out a Google form, the first thing you need to know is that what are the actual questions I need answer to. I mean, okay, so say for example, which data can I use now? Or let me still use a retail store. Say for example, as a retail store, you want to know, um, say for example, the core thing you want to know, or the core data you have interest in, is your revenue data. So based on the answer you want is answers around your revenue. You want to know things around your revenue. This will inform the kind of data you are going to collect, because the data you'll be collating would be centered around getting something around your revenue. If, say, for example, what you are looking at is something around your geography, or you want to know where your customers are coming from, their location, their areas, or you want to know their age or their age range, or you want to know certain personalized things around your customer, then it means at the point of you collating that data, what you are going to gather would be data around that. So that is basically what defining the question. The answers you want would determine the question you are going to be asking. So for the first step is to identify why you are conducting analysis and what question or challenge you are hoping to solve. So this question or challenge you are hoping to solve would be what would define the kind of question you would be asking. And like this is the first step of data analysis. Then the second step now, after you've been able to identify the questions you need, I mean, yes, the questions you need answers to. The next thing now is now to embark on collating this data, and gathering the data can be in a whole lot of different formats. It could be Google, I mean, in this age now, right now, the common one is Google Form. It could be in form of probably adding a Google Analytics board to your website. Say, for example, on website now, people have certain things they add to their website to gather information about. Okay, I have a question. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, so say for example, websites, a whole lot of websites always they always create, they always find a way to gather information about what people are doing on their website. Say, for example, you have a, let me use Jumia for example now. Say you have a store like Jumia, for example, you'd want to know which product are people more interested in. You would want to know the pages people stop when they are searching for certain products. So this will help you be able to put certain products as a recommendation that is in the first page, because you know that people, say for example, you know, on average, the core pages people check, maybe out of a page of 10 to 20 pages, the pages people check is probably the first 5 pages. So it means if you have sales that you know is very, very important around that product, it means you would want to put it in the first space. So from dividing the question, you collect the data. So I was trying to explain that a whole lot of websites always have inputs that helps them gather a whole lot of data about what people do on their websites, the sites they visit, how long they stayed on their on that particular website, where they go next after leaving your website, where they come from before entering your website, that is the source or the referral to your website. So from this, you are able to now, so after you've gathered this data, so like I said, the first thing is define the question you want to answer. The second thing is to collect the data. The third thing now is now to clean the data. Sometimes some of these data and they are dirty. What I mean by dirty is that they are in their raw form. And they being in their raw form means that you need to do some cleaning. That is, you need to format them. Cleaning is just like formatting those data. Say for example, numbers. Say for example, phone numbers that are collated as string. You want to convert it from string to number. Say for example, um, dates that are collated as integers. You want to convert it from integer to date time. So maybe you have certain words, certain texts that are not well collated. You want to clean them up. You want to remove. You want to trim spaces. You want to make sure that all of the text are in their proper format or how they should be. So that is basically what cleaning the data is. Say for example now, if you collect the data or you told your customer to enter details and someone entered Mokola, and then another person also wanting to enter Mokola forgot to miss out on writing one of the O. So probably the person wrote Mokla. You know the person is mentioning Mokola, right? But they've made a mistake in entering the actual spelling of Mokola. And you can have, say for example, on that sheet has location of say 5,000, and say 200 people make that same mistake. This is going to affect the result you are going to get, because in a result that is probably supposed to be say 3,000, you'll be getting say 2,800. Meanwhile, 200 of those data was supposed to add up to the normal information, but because that particular data is not cleaned or there is an error on it, you will not be able to make full decision based on that. So after you must have gotten your data, the next thing you would want to do is to clean your data. So after you've cleaned your data, after cleaning the data, the next thing you want to do now, that is when you can now analyze your data. That is when you can now start probing your data and start trying to get answers based on the questions that you've gathered already. That's when you can now start seeing different things, and that's when you can now use the four main types of data analytics that we've talked about. What happened, why did it happen, what is likely to happen in the future, and the best course of action. So it's at the point of analyzing the data that you're able to go through all of this process and all of this data analysis type. Then after doing that, having done that, the next thing you now want to do is now to make your analysis in a much more, say, in a much more acceptable or relatable format. Don't let me say acceptable, in a much more relatable format. And that is where visualizing your data comes in play. Say, for example, if someone writes certain things, or maybe an information is written in words, you might not be able to pick out the actual information compared to when that information is shown in a chart. When the information is shown in a chart, you are easily able to pick out what the information is about. Say, for example, you have a chart of sales across different regions, for example. Now, if you put it in a table format, which is presentable, people would see it, but sometimes it can be very hard to recognize what do I need to see here. It can be a little bit hard. But say if we have that same data, that same table, if we have it in, say, a chart format, or say a pie chart format, different, depending on whatever thing you need to do at that point in time, if you put it in a more visual context, you are able to easily pinpoint what exactly this thing is saying. So if it's, say, for example, a bar chart now, you're able to see, okay, this is the region that we have more numbers. This is the region that we have the second highest number, all of that. You're able to easily pinpoint and easily see what those data or what those information are all about. And that's the fifth step, which is visualizing and sharing your findings. And then, like I said the other time, it does not stop at just visualizing your or sharing your findings. You also have to act on those findings. You also have to prescribe solution or work on the solution that you've prescribed. So your data analytics journey does not end until you're able to act on your finding, or you're able to provide solution or smart business decision based on what you found out. So it does not end at you analyzing the data or finding out something. You also have to be able to gather insights, or be able to make informed business decision, or be able to act on what you found out. So is there any question from what I've explained so far? Any question, anything you think that, okay, you are not getting these parts? Any question, please? Okay, Idris, I can see your hands raised up. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Please,
I
I want
agree.
you to please go over go over how do I put this? Okay, I want you to explain how to analyze those data again. The
Okay,
descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. I want you
okay.
to help us explain it. And two, I want to ask again, can we have like access to this material, this
Yes,
particular one?
this
Okay,
particular,
no
yes,
problem.
I sent it in the chat.
Okay,
I sent it in
okay,
the chat. Let me just, can this be pinned? Okay, I'll copy it again and post it again. Just check the
okay.
chat. You will see it there
All right,
again.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other question? Any other question from another person before I explain that? Any other question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, you talked about data cleaning and you gave an
Yeah.
instance where some data were not properly imputed or correctly imputed.
Yeah.
Now, if you know what the person wanted to impute, just like the example you stated, Katola, and he ended up omitting an O, would it
Yeah.
be proper for you to go ahead and make the corrections, or you just leave it as it is, knowing fully well that probably it might lead to data distortion or something? Will it be
Okay.
proper to correct your data set, knowing that that's the raw data you're getting from the field? Is that also a process of the data cleaning? That's my question.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So let me just. Okay. Is there any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Okay. So if there's no other question, so let me quickly answer the questions that were asked. So the first one, the second one, the one that asked about data cleaning. Yes, the core reason for you cleaning your data is to check out any part of the data that is inconsistent and try to make sure that it is consistent with what you need. For example, the Mokola I talked about now. So you want to, of course, you can probably at the early stage probably have saved the raw file so that in case you have any need for the actual raw data, you'll be able to go back to it. So after that, the copy that you have, of course, you are going to, the process of cleaning is you altering those information that is not consistent. And in some cases, there are cases where you have to even remove probably certain rows or certain details that is probably not consistent with your data. So the whole process of cleaning your data has to do with all of that. It does not just end at it's not the process of cleaning your data is not you just seeing something inconsistent and leaving it. No, you have to alter it or change the information that is there. Have I answered your question very well, Patrick? Did you get me, Patrick?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I
So
did. Yes.
let me go to Jumai's question. So I'm going to go back to the slide. So I'm going to re-explain the types of data. So like I said, the types of data, there are four: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. They are just like the sequence of what happened when you have a data to analyze. I hope the rain noise is not disturbing us. Okay, please give me a few minutes, please. Give me a few minutes so that I can. Okay, yeah, thank you. So the first one is descriptive. That is what happened. So when you analyze your data, at the point of you analyzing your data, when say you have a chart now, for example, and you notice, okay, what happened at this actual point in this data? What exactly happened at this point? You're able to see. Let me see if I can. I don't want to explain. I want to explain practically. I want to explain. Let me see if I can get a data to use so that we're able to understand this very, very well. Coming minutes. First, we have the Adidas. A few minutes, please. I have a particular data that I think can help us understand this very well. The actual data I'm looking for is not there. Okay, let me explain. Let me see. Let me use normal charts. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I get this explanation so that I don't have to repeat it again. Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible? The charts.
Yes.
Okay. So this is I'm not sure this is not so clear. Okay, but I'll just use it. So this is a dashboard, for example. So you've analyzed this data, and the first thing is what happened, descriptive. And the reason for asking what happened is that, okay, at the point of checking this chart, for example, now, I was trying to look for the actual dashboard, but I did not see the dashboard file. I would have been able to filter this. So at the point of checking, so what happened? You check this average sales per month and you found out that, okay, in September, I have, September is more like the peak sales period, say March and September, especially in 2020, or you found out that there was high sales in 2020 than 2021. So the first question is, what exactly happened? Like, why did I have, why was there more sales in 2020 compared to 2021? Few things can probably be attributed to the reason for having that sales. So that is basically what happened. The descriptive part, which is the what happened part, that is why exactly did we have more sales in 2020 than 2021. You are just asking out loud what happened. The next thing is, why did it happen? Like you're diagnosing, you are doing a diagnostic of why exactly do we have high sales. So some of the things that could have happened is that, okay, in 2020 there was COVID, probably people were bored and they just decided to start ordering stuff in the comfort of their homes, and probably that was why we had peak sales around this period compared to 2021. Okay, why exactly was there no a continuation of what happened in 2020 to 2021? Probably at this point, maybe at February, that was when people were already or I mean probably at November, at the end of November, people were already no longer indoor. Probably they've been able to go out and they were really not bored, and they were not making absurd sales decision. Like they were not buying things out of impulse again, because what was making them buy stuffs out of impulse has already gone. I'm just creating like a scenario. So what happened? You've asked the question of what happened. Now you've created, okay, why you've been able to actually see the actual reason why what happened. So that is the point of diagnosing what happened. Then the next thing is now predictive. So from that, you can now predict that, okay, this is more like a pattern. It happens at this point. Say, for example, now, say the next 2022 now, for example, say they were going to make an announcement that there will be lockdown just like it happened in 2020. So this is going to be like a prediction that, okay, since during the previous lockdown, this was what happened. I had peak sales. So there is a possibility that this 2022 that they've already announced as, okay, another lockdown, there is that prediction that there is a possibility based on historical trends that I've already had, based on this analysis that I've done, that this kind of situation is also going to happen. So that is the predictive part. So then the final one, which is after you've predicted that this is most likely going to happen, prescriptive, what is the best course of action? So based on the scenario that we've talked about now, since you found out that there's most likely going to be peak sales, so it means that if you have inventories that the stores probably this particular shoe are no longer available, based on the historic data that you had, that there's probably going to be another peak sales, it means that based on that historic data and your prediction, the next thing you want to do is to act on that your prediction. That is, okay, start making sure that you have as much as possible things in your store, because you know that based on previous reoccurrence that this is what is going to happen. So you plan ahead for what is going to happen. And why you're able to do that is because you've analyzed your data and you've checked out historic data. I'm not saying that this is what happened at this particular, like on this particular chart. I'm just creating a scenario to explain that this is the flow of, to explain the four types of, so the first one, descriptive, what happens. Then the second one is diagnostic, why what happened. Then the fourth one is prescriptive. Is predictive rather. The fourth one is predictive, predicting that based on the previous occurrence, based on why these things have happened, there is a possibility that this is going to be the trend or this is going to be the pattern. Then the last one, which is the fourth one, is to prescribe a solution based on what has been predicted. Did you get it now, Jumai?
Yes, I do. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Do you have any other question? Any other question before we move to the next? Okay. So having said that, so I've talked about the steps, define your question, the question you want an answer for. Then you collate the data based on the questions that you've already written out. Then you clean your data, then analyzing your data, then you create a visuals and share your data, share your finding. Then also the last part is acting on your findings. So now, as a data analyst, there are certain skills that are very, very, very important. Yes, it's important because across different points in time in your across different points, regardless of the industry you are in, you would need these skills. They are important skills. They are very, very important skills. Beyond beyond you saying you're a data analyst, there are certain skills that are very, very important. The first one is being good at maths and statistics. Yeah, a whole lot of time, people always want to remove this part or shy away from it. But I think from the data I've worked with, or certain data I've worked with outside the usual data, I found out that there is no way you are going to run away from mathematics and statistics in your data journey. And this is not to scare anyone, it's just for you to prepare, because the core of what you would do needs reasoning at different points in time. So it's not, it does not end at just putting out or putting together two charts or two line charts or two bar charts or whatever it is. It does not end at that. There will be needs for your mathematics skills at different points in time. So another thing is also, this is probably at advanced level, but it's also needed. The next one is knowledge of programming language. So in the course of this class, I think we have Excel, we have SQL, and I think Power BI, I guess. And even across Excel, across SQL, Power BI, Tableau, there will be need for you to, at one point or the other, make use of programming language. It might not be the core native programming language as you see it, but yes, you write some programs, you write some codes, because at different points in time, there are certain things that will warrant you to write codes to be able to get certain analysis right, or to make your analysis work easier. And some of the most important programming languages that is important for you to learn as a data analyst is, one, SQL. As much as SQL is a simple language, it is very, very important. It is very, very important in making your analytics, whatever, very, very easy. And then on the advanced level is Python. A whole lot of times, some things that you probably do on Excel, probably in terms of cleaning your data or formatting your data, you can easily do that if you understand Python and you're able to write just 2 or 3 lines of codes. You'd perfectly and easily be able to do probably what you spend 20 or 40 minutes in doing with Excel. So knowledge of programming language is very, very important and paramount. Then, like I said also the other time, I've make mention of it in maths. You need an analytical mindset, because certain things don't just, certain things don't just reveal themselves in the numbers. Say you just check out the numbers or the figures that are available. You need to be able to analyze and see beyond what the numbers are saying. You need to be able to see the actual details outside of that number. Okay, I have this number. So what exactly is this number telling me? So basically, that is what having an analytical mindset. That's basically like it boils down to even normal things that happen, like day to day. If I'm having certain conversation, if I'm meeting someone, for example, and we're having conversation at any point in time, and sometimes I'm very, very analytical about whatever they are saying. So at the point of probably talking with them, or probably we're having a discussion, or we are communicating on something, I might have over time been able to process certain things that they've said, to be able to say, okay, this is the way this person talks. This is their pattern of reasoning based on the information that they provided. So that's more like what having an analytical mindset. That's more like what it looks like. And it cuts across whatever you'll be doing in the data field. That is, at different points in time, you'll be able to think and and reason from the analytical point of view. Then the next thing is you have to be a good problem solver. I mean, the core reason for analyzing data is to solve problems. So you need, like I said, you need to see beyond the numbers. You need to be able to solve problems. The core thing of being an analyst is solving problem, because the core reason why those data are gathered is because there is an answer that is needed to be gotten from those questions that you're asking. So it means you have to be in depth, you have to be able to solve problems. So beyond just seeing the numbers or seeing the lines or seeing the figures or seeing the charts, how does this help me? I mean, if probably you work in a business environment and you work with your stakeholders and you present a finding or a data finding, they will ask you that, okay, all of these things that you showed me now, how does it help me? How does it help my business? I mean, what does it do to my own business? They don't care about the whole chart you are showing or the whole line charts or the whole numbers. They want to know how exactly it affects them. So you need to be able to like provide solution and be a problem solver as a data analyst. And also, this is not the last, because there are a whole lot of skills that are needed, but based on what I've written down, the next one is you have to be an excellent communicator, because fine, you've been able to create your findings, you've been able to probably create your reports. You are able to, if you're able to communicate, there is a need for you to communicate those findings much more better, so that the your stakeholders or your clients are able to see beyond the numbers. And that comes with you communicating effectively, like being able to show them exactly what they need to know, like what is of importance, what is not of importance, and other things they need to know beyond just, I mean, they might probably not check your chart throughout, but based on how you're able to communicate and talk about what you said, those are the things that will inform, that will probably help them get informed about the data you are presenting. So yeah, so that is that about the introduction. That's just like it is an introduction to this data analytics class. So throughout the course of this class, like Adenika said, we'll be covering Excel, SQL, I think Power BI and Power Query, I guess, Power Platform. So for me, I'll be taking us through Excel. I'll be taking us through Excel. And for those that don't have Excel installed on their PC, you can use Google Sheets. Google Sheets also works in place of Excel. So for Google Sheets, what you just need to have is just have like a Gmail. If you have a Gmail, just go on your your web page, your web browser, and type sheet.new to create a new Google Sheet. A new spreadsheet, rather, to create a new spreadsheet. So for anyone that does not have Excel installed on their PC, they can make use of Google Sheets. And it has close, almost similar features, except for certain few things that are different. But outside that, you are going to get similar experience with Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. So we are going to start now. Okay, yeah. We are going to start now. So I'm not using Google Sheets. I'm going to make use of Excel. So Microsoft Excel, it's a spreadsheets program. I know a whole lot of us call anything around that Excel. It's just like the same way we call some people call toothpaste Maclean or Close Up. Meanwhile, the general name for them is toothpaste. So it's the same thing. So for spreadsheets, it's actually spreadsheet programs like Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. They are spreadsheet programs. So spreadsheet program is their general name. But over time, we've gotten accustomed to calling everything Excel. Yeah. So spreadsheet program is a program that helps us like being able to work with data in a sheet format. That is the way we see it here. It's in sheet format. And I also want to believe that for a whole lot of us, we've at one point or the other been able to interact with spreadsheets at different points in time. But having said that, so I will also take it as we being novice to this program. So I'll also make sure that I carry us across some of the basic things we need to know about spreadsheets, Excel in this particular state. So yeah, so in our spreadsheets, we have a workbook. We have something called workbook. Just like if you have a jotter now or a book, your book has different leaves. Say you have a 20 leaves book now, you have different leaves in your book, but the whole book is called a book. Like everything, the collection of everything is called a book. So it's the same thing for our spreadsheets. The collection of different sheets is called a workbook, but individuals are called sheets. So for this now, this is a workbook because This is sheet 1. I can decide to create as much as possible sheets in this workbook. So we have sheet 1, sheet 2, 3, 4,
Your
5.
sheet is not showing.
What do you say? Oh,
Your
my
screen
screen
is
is
not
not.
showing.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I guess I'm sharing. It's my browser that is showing. Okay. Yeah, my screen should be visible now, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let me clear this. Let me delete this so that I'm going to explain again. Yeah, so what I was trying to make mention of the other time is that the collection of different sheets makes a workbook. So this is a sheet, another sheet, another sheet, another sheet, like that, like that, like that, like that. So if you also go on Google Sheets, now, if you also go on Google Sheets too, you can create several sheets on Google Sheets, and the collation of that sheets together is a workbook. Yeah. So in Excel, so to create a new sheet, after you've opened your program, the next thing is just to click blank workbook. There are different templates. These are predefined templates that had already been created based on certain things, probably business, budget, or whatever. But for you to have a blank workbook, you just select this blank workbook and you have everything empty. So for Excel saves as the default format Excel saves as is XLXM. I mean XLXX. So for you to save as a workbook, so you have to be careful when you are saving your sheets, because if you save as a different format, there's a possibility of you losing your file. So what do I mean by that? So in Excel, there are different formats in which you can save, but the most common one is saving as a workbook. Now, if you save your Excel sheets, your workbook, like collection of all your sheets as a workbook, when you want to open it, you would have all of those workbooks open. But there's another format called the common separated version, I think. That's the CSV. So if you save your Excel sheets, or if you save your sheets as a CSV file, if you select any of these CSV formats, what would save is a single sheet. Like in CSV, what I mean by that is, say this workbook now, if I have several workbooks, if I save as a workbook, when I open this thing, I will still be able to access all of this. But if I save in CSV format, I would only be able to have access to the sheets I save in CSV format. So the way CSV format works is that it clears off every formatting that you have in your sheets and makes it bland, just like your normal text. It makes it bland. And when you want to reopen it, the only thing you have is your blank text. So you won't have all of these sheets, all of these extra sheets again in it. And also you won't have, if let's say you formatted your sheets now, you won't have any of those formatted sheets in it. So if you have multiple, because there was one person that he was doing his workbook. He was doing a chart. He was doing a dashboard. He was building a dashboard, and then he had created several sheets. And at the point of saving it, he saved the sheet as a CSV. And when he wanted to open it back, he found out that all the dashboard he had spent a whole lot of time building were gone because of the format he saved this file. So it's always important to save as a workbook. The same thing too on Google Sheets. I think there's a format to save on Google Sheets too, to save as .xlsx. So if you save that as .xlsx, that's like the Microsoft Excel format for workbook, you'll be able to access multiple sheets. But if you save as a CSV, it is only one sheet that you'll be able to access. So having said that, so let's get familiar with the interface of a Microsoft Excel. So we have the home page or the home ribbon where we have all of these several use cases. For some of, okay, you have a question. Mr. Emmanuel, sir, you can ask your question, sir.
All right, good evening.
Good evening,
Thank you
sir.
so much for this time. Thank you so much for your patience. All right, so my question is that those you're mentioning that format XLXS or so.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
would you later do like a sample? Maybe you just type something and then try to save it so you
Okay,
can see
okay,
exactly.
okay.
All right, because
Let
I'm
me
not
do
saying
that.
you type.
No, I should have even done that like immediately. So let me
I'm
just
saying
do that. Let me do
all I'm
that so
seeing,
that,
I'm using my phone because my laptop is down. So
okay,
I couldn't see anything, just this blank worksheet I'm seeing.
okay. On your phone, right? Like if you use your phone.
Yeah, I'm actually using my phone, but I'm seeing your screen, but it's just the home page for the worksheet I'm seeing.
Oh, okay. Am I sharing? Let me see. Which of the workbook is showing right now? Is it book one or book two?
Book 10, sheet 10. I'm seeing sheet 10.
Sheet 10. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Seeing
It is book one that is okay. I can see. I'll yeah. So I'm going to, so let me just start with that. So I'm about to type. So I'm typing here. You can
all
see
right.
the text I'm typing now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, good, sir. Okay. Let me say name, location. Yeah. So let me just do something. Okay, so let me copy this across the sheet and just show us an example of what I mean by the saving formats now. So let me just rename the sheets. Number one, number two, number number three, number four. Okay. Now I have this formatted details that I've already formatted. I've created a format in it. What I mean by formatted details is the background color and all of that. So for me to be able to retain those information, if I want to save it, I have to save it as, let me save on my desktop. Let me save it as class sheets, for example. So at the point of saving, you have to make sure that you are saving as an Excel workbook or anything that is around the workbook, depending on the version of the Excel you are using. You have to make sure that you are saving as a workbook. So if I'm saving this as a workbook now, I am safe. So if I close this and I go to my desktop sheet again. Okay, let me make the sharing my screen instead. Okay, good. So if I go to, where's this sheet now? Um, okay, I've seen it's class sheet. So if I select this class sheet now, for example, all those informations are still retained. Like I still have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Now, let me now save this as a CSV. Save as desktop class sheet 2. Let me name it class sheet 2 and save it as a CSV and then save. Okay, it does not, the selected file format does not support workbook that contains multiple sheets. To save only the active sheets, press OK. So by pressing OK, it is only going to save the active sheet, that is the current sheet. That's the sheet is going to save, which is class 2. So if I close this now and I open class sheet 2, you'll find out that 1, the formatting that I had here before had cleared off. And then 2, it is only this single sheet that is available. So imagine probably you've created and done a lot of cleaning, a lot of formatting, and you end up saving as a CSV. By the time you try to open it, I mean, now they are putting a notification and an alert. I don't think there was an alert or notification in previous formats. So a whole lot of people always make the mistake of saving. So also, when you want to save on Google Sheet too, let me open Google Sheet to make that explanation. So sheets.new, so on Google Sheet 2, you have sheets. I mean, you can add several sheets. Then at the point of saving it, at the point of downloading your data, yep. So at the point of downloading your data, this is the Microsoft Excel format that incorporates all of the sheet data, that is a workbook. And this is the CSV I'm talking about. So if you save this in this CSV format, every format will be wiped out, and it's only the active sheets that will be saved. So I hope we are clear on that now.
Yes,
Yes, it's clear. Please, I have a
thank you.
question. I have a
Okay.
question, please.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. So, what's the essence of saving with a CSV file?
Okay, yeah. So the reason for saving in CSV file is that sometimes you want your data to be as light as possible, or to make it easily transferable and easily usable across different formats. For example, now me saving my file in a CSV format means that I can open it across the various spreadsheet formats, or data platforms that I need to use. For example, if I want to query the data using Python now, it's easier for me. Although you can also query a workbook, but the format of querying a workbook, there's an extra step or extra level for querying it on, say, on Python, say a Jupyter notebook now, for example, to write the Python code. It's easier to query a CSV or be able to get the data in CSV compared to if you want to get it in what's it called, in workbook formats. It does not also end at that. Say you want to use Tableau, it's easier for you to easily incorporate your CSV formats in your Tableau sheets or whatever. Also, for example, if you want to say you have a phone number, you have phone number saved on a particular sheet and you save it as a CSV, it's easier to convert it, like convert the CSV to a VCAD, that is a phone, whatever, a phone storage formats form. So the core reason for saving as CSV is that it makes it easier. Like the format of your data is lightweight, so it makes it easier to make use of that data across different platforms. Do you get that? Do you get that, sir?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Okay.
yes, I did. And sorry, my follow-up question. So that means that the data is not going to be, is it still going to be in the process form or in the raw form? if it's going to be easily transmitted across all platforms?
Yeah, so depending on the cleaning, you might have done certain cleaning on it, but this is what happens with CSV. For saving as CSV, CSV will return some of those formats in their default form. Say, for example, your phone number, if you've saved it as a text before, probably you've converted it in your workbook, you converted it from a text to number, your CSV format would not recognize that. It would return it back from a text format to um, a normal number, like normal integer format. So it will now probably take you when you get to your new platform where you want to use it to reconvert it from where it is to the new format you want it to be. So sometimes whatever formatting that you might have done would get cleared off on by the time you save it as a CSV. Not all formats, but there are certain formats that would have gotten cleared off. Say, for example, now, maybe in your Excel sheets, your proper workbook sheets has a formula, like Excel formula. By the time you save it as a CSV will wipe out the formula. It will only put the corresponding results that is supposed to be there. And it means you won't have access to the former formula that you had there before. We'll see all of this as time goes on in the class. Okay, Juma, you have your hands raised. You can unmute your mic and ask your
Okay.
question.
All right. Thank you. So
Yeah,
please, I want to ask something.
yeah,
If one saves like a data in a workbook format,
yeah.
is it possible for that person to like make adjustments or to add more data? Because
Yeah.
I did
Okay.
what you. Hello, did you get my question?
Yeah, I get it. I got it.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
listening to you.
Because okay, I did the same thing you did for the workbook, just a little experiment. So
Yeah.
I saved it as a workbook. So
Okay.
I opened it again and I discovered that I can't make any adjustments. Like I can't impute any data or anything. Is it how it works? And if
No.
somebody should like save like an information in a CSV format, can somebody make adjustments on like the workbook format?
You can, so to answer it straight up, you can make adjustments at different points in time. You can
Okay,
always make adjustments, whether in CSV or even in workbook format, you can always make adjustments.
okay,
I don't know, probably I don't know what the issue is for yours, but you should always be able to make adjustments. The only situation when you are not able to make an adjustment is if that particular sheet is protected. I'll still get to that. I'll still explain that. If that particular sheet is protected and
okay,
you do not have a rights authority, that is the authority to write inside that sheet,
okay,
then you will not be able to make an adjustment.
okay, okay.
Okay, Noah,
Thank you.
Noah, your hands are raised. Do you have a question? Okay, so if there's no question, please let's put down our hands. So let me quickly go through this so that we'll be able to complete what we need to do today. So we have this interface, our main interface on Excel. And for those of us that have probably used Microsoft Word, PowerPoint would have seen, would be very, very familiar with some of these things or all of these things. So this area, I'll come to this area later, this clipboard area. This area is just the font area. That is where you get to choose the font you want for your text or the text you want to enter in your sheet. So you can decide to change the font or change the text size and all of that. So basically this font size, it has to do with the text that you have. So basically, this font size has to do with the text that you have in your Excel sheet. So you can use this to increase the size, this to reduce the size, this to make it bold, italic, underline, however you want the underline, whether it's double underline or a single underline. Then this is to create probably a border, wherever you want the border, at the bottom, at the top, basically just as it sounds. That is what this is for creating a border. So this is coming clear all. This is for, please let's mute our mic, please. Noah, please mute your mic, please. Okay, so let's say for example, I have Oladayo written here now. So there this under this we have fill color and font color. So font color is to change the font, the color of my font. So if I want to probably change the color or the, let me move it here. If I want to change the color of my font, I can always come here to change the color of my font. And then this is to change the background of my row of my sheet. So let's say I want to change the background, the color I have in that background, then this is what I will use to change it. So basically, this is what we use, whatever we have here in this fonts option to do. Then this alignment is basically for alignment. That is how our text, the way our text is the way our text is positioned. So I just want to show an example now. So I've dragged this Oladayo down because I want to show us something. So at default, when you type a text in Excel or in a spreadsheet, the text will stay at the bottom. Is this right or left now? At the bottom left corner. It should be left. Yes, at the bottom left corner. As you can see here, you have this staying at this level. So let's say you want it to be at the middle or you want it to be at the top. This is what you use the alignment to do. If you want it to align to the right, to the middle, or to the left, this is what you would use to do it. But at the default, a text format or a text will always be at the right bottom side. If I change this now to a number, you see that it's different. A number would always save at the right bottom corner in a spreadsheet, the right bottom corner. Like at a default, it will always be at the right bottom corner. So, Oladayo, this is to probably edit the text to make it clockwise, anti-clockwise, a whole lot of time. You really don't need this. Really don't need this in Excel. So yeah, so this is indentation, increase and reduce indentation, just like tab. So that is the work of that. So let me clear that. Let me clear that because I want to explain. Sheets. Okay, so having said that, we've talked about fonts, we've talked about alignments. Then the next part is okay, at the alignments part, there's the wrap text. There's the wrap text. What the wrap text does is that you would see that at the point of writing this, you would see that this particular text has overflown the borders of E. So before going on, I need to explain that spreadsheets are always in rows and columns. And by columns, I know for some of us, we still don't understand the what's the word now of rows and columns. I was having that issue too at a point. So rows are the ones that you have vertically. Rows are the ones you have vertically. That is, I mean, columns rather are the ones you have vertically. So this is column A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that. And rows are the ones you have horizontally. So row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, like that. So an intersection of a row and a column is what we call a cell. So in spreadsheet, we make use of cells. So like this particular cell now is cell E5, as you can see, E5. So in this E5 now, you would see that this Adedayo has overflown this column E, that is, that's gone beyond the borders of column E. So in order to make sure that this thing stays within this border, you can just select a wrap text. So a wrap text, what a wrap text does is that the overflow, it cuts it into an extra like under, instead of making it overflow the normal way. So that is what a wrap text does. So another thing is that, so the merge and center, let me use this to explain merge and center. So we have this information now, and say we want to call it under information board, for example. And since this is the topic, and since this is like the core topic is an information board. So we want it to be above, like take up all of this, we want it to take up all of these sheets, I mean all of this cell together. You know that normally this cell, Oluwatosin, you have a question. Please drop your question in the chat box right now so that I'll be able to complete this part. So this information board is in E2, but what we want is that we want it to take up all of this, like from E1 to G2. So in order to do that, what you are going to do is you are going to merge and center. So what you will do to merge and center a particular text or words or whatever you have in that cell is that you highlight all the cells you want it to cover. For example, this information board, I want it to cover these 3 cells. That is, I don't want it to remain as a singular cell. I want it to be in these 3 cells. So the moment I click merge and center, it's going to merge the 3 cells together and put it at the center. So it means this information board is taking up 3 cells together. If I want it to take up all of this, I just have to highlight all of this and then merge and center it. So it's going to take up the 6 cells together. So that's basically what merge and center does. So let's say, for example, I want to make this, so information board, name, phone number, I want to make this bold. So that we can see the difference from this to this. So that's basically what merge and center does. So under the number area is just to format our whatever we have, the numbers we have. Say for example, I have this number now. Say it's a currency and I want it to be in dollars. So I'll input dollar. So it will convert it from normal number to dollar format. This is probably if I want a percent of this. In order to understand this, let me put 0.3. 0.3 in percent would be 30%. So by adding percent, you can add percent. You can use this to add percent to it. So this one is to add comma at every 3. You can see that this particular number that I have now is not well formatted because you can really not know the denomination of this number. But by adding a comma, I'm able to see that, okay, this is the denomination of this comma, this number. I'm able to see that this is 223 million. So this is what does the work, the comma. Then this is increased decimal or reduced decimal. So currently, it is currently at 2 decimal place, that is .00. So if I want to increase the decimal, I will use this to increase this. If I want to reduce the decimal, I'll use this to reduce this. Now it is an whole number, it's not in decimal. Into decimal. Yeah, so into decimal, I can increase it and have 2 decimal. So yeah, so conditional formatting, we'll get to that as time goes on, whether you want to format your cell based on certain criteria or you want to create a color code based on certain criteria. So we'll get to that too. We'll get to that over the course of this class. Formatting as table, let's say we have certain cells or certain information and we want to format it as a table. This one too, by the time we get into the thick of the class, we'll see it. Cell styles, probably you want to style your cell. For example, say I want to style this and I want it to be this format or probably this heading. These are predefined formatted form, so we can make use of any of these predefined formats. Insert is if we want to insert a cell, whether we want to insert a row or a column. Let's say, for example, I want to insert a row. So it will, at default, insert a row at the top. So if I select this now, and I select insert row, it's going to insert a row at the top. So it means if I wanted to insert a row in between this and this, I'm just going to come here, insert a row. Then it's going to insert a row. The same thing for inserting a column. So it's going to insert, you can see it has inserted a new column. You can also delete a row, delete a column, and all of that. Then you can also format it. I would come to this format later. So you can also do a format, auto sum. This will be when we have a calculation. Fill, this will be when we have a calculation. Clear. Say for example now, this particular board, the format that I have here, if I want to if I want to clear it, so there are different clears. There's the clear format. By clearing the format, it's going to clear off every format and every formula that we have in that cell. So if I click clear, you can see that it has turned this information board from margin and center to the normal form. So that is what clear does. And you can also clear contents. This will leave the formats and clear only the contents. But you can clear all. Clear all will clear both the formats and the text and the content. So that's what clear all does. Then we have sort and filter. We'll get to this through the course of the class. Find and select through the course of the class too. So then we have the cut, copy, and format painter. So let me quickly explain that now. So this is what the copy does. So for copy, if I select this now, if I copy this, it means I want to paste it in another sheet and then I have whatever I have copied, just like the visual copy. Then we have the cut. If you select cut, it means you are cutting it away from this cell. The moment you paste it in a new cell, it's going to remove it from the previous cell that we have that particular information. Then we have the format painter. What the format painter does is that it copies the format of the source and then it pastes that format in the new destination. Say, for example, if I select format painter now, it is going to copy all of the formats that I have here. So if I paste it here, this particular cell will replicate whatever formats I've already had here. So you can see that this one, it takes up 6 cells. You can see that immediately this one has also taken up 6 cells. It converted the name to image and center. That's converted it to image and center. So basically, that is what a format painter, that is what it does. Then we have the inserts. This is, we'll be making use of this over the course of the class. If you need to insert something, then we have the draw. Then we have the page layout. Page layout is how you want your page to be laid out. You want to create like a default color schemes, or you want a default themes and all. You want default themes. By default themes, I mean a predefined format, color, and the likes. You want to, so this one is for margin and orientation. This is for when you want to print. Say you want to print your sheets now, you might need probably to adjust the margin if there is a need for that. So that's what this does. Then there is the orientation. At default, the orientation is always at portrait. Say you want to change it from portrait to landscape and decide to do that. Yeah, so size, that is the size of the paper you want to print. This is for printing, print area, and then the scales and the likes. Then we have the grid. This is useful when you are building, when you are creating a dashboard in Excel. Say you don't want the grid. What I mean by the grid is all these lines in columns and rows, you don't want it. So you can remove it from here by using this grid view. The heading, say you don't want the heading at all, so you can use this to remove the heading that we had here. That is the rows and column names. You can use this to remove it totally. The bring forward, send backward, align. This will be useful when we are building a dashboard. Then we have the formulas. These are different formulas that we have in Excel. So we'll go through all of this in the course of the class too. Data. So yeah, so you can also import your data. So you can import your data based on different formats, from a PDF, from a JSON file, from a XLM file, from a text or CSV file, or from an Excel file. So depending on the format that you have this particular data, you can import it using this. I'm sorry. So you can import it using this, and a whole lot of these are what we'll get to use over the course of the class or advanced level while we are taking this class. So the next thing I want to show us is the, I think the edit, is it the inserts now? The format. Yeah, under the format, there are certain things. I was talking the other time about you protecting your sheet. So there is a place to protect your sheet. Say, for example, now you are working, say in a company now, you guys are working on the same workbook. So person A is working on sheet A, person B is working on sheet B, person C is working on sheet C. So maybe you don't want, while A is working on his own sheet, you don't want A to tamper with whatever is in every other sheet, that is whatever is in B, C, D, E, F sheets. And also the same thing, when B is working, you only want B to focus on B's sheet. You don't want B to touch anything or affect anything on every other sheet. Then there's a place of protecting sheets. So with protecting sheets, you can protect the sheets on different levels. For example, so after imputing your password, select locked cell, select unlocked cell. There are different things you can protect. You can protect it from being able to, that is, the person will not be able to do all of this information. So the most important one is the person, you don't want the person to be able to delete any columns or rows. You don't want the person, say you don't want the person to be able to insert new columns or rows. So these are what protect does. So it means it is only the person that has the password to that cell or that particular sheet at that point in time that will be able to do any edits or any modification to that sheet because the sheet has been protected. So, yeah. So you can also rename this sheet. I think I did the rename the other time. You can rename the sheet. You can also move or copy this sheet, you can insert a new sheet. I mean, a new, yes, worksheet or whatever the case is. Then also, you can change the tab color. Maybe you want to be able to differentiate this sheet from another sheet, from the look of another sheet. Um, you can create a tab color, say green now. So if I come here, this is the tab color in effect, the green, whatever. So what else? You can hide a sheet too. So another way to, probably you don't want the next person working to see a particular sheet, and you don't want to go through the rigor of protecting it, you can decide to hide the sheet. So now, when they open it, what they would see, would be a singular sheet. Meanwhile, what I have is I have two sheets. So you can also unhide all sheets. So you can select the ones that is hidden, and then you will have the sheet that was hidden, you will have it back. So yeah. So this is the fourth level of this class. In our next class, we'll be going on from this level that we've started. This is just an introductory, and I just want to show us the functions and basic things that we have, or features that we have in Excel sheets. By the time we start in our next class, we will now start going into using Excel properly. And I would want to implore every one of us to at least have our laptops beside us so that it will be easier, because there's a limitation to how much you can work on your phone with Excel or with Google Sheets. The best place is to work on your PC with Excel sheets. So now, is there any question? Any question? Any question? Any feature that probably you are lost on, you did not get while explaining? Although a whole lot of the features, they will only make sense or make more meaning by this time we start using them. So some might really not make any sense to you right now. So yeah, Noah, you have a question? Noah, you're raising your hand. You can unmute your mic if you have a question.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, the question I had comes from, I think somebody raised a question that after saving a file, that
Yes.
she couldn't edit it.
Okay. I already answered that, and I think
So
Adenike
yeah,
also
I
answered.
think about it that you have to sign in. Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
have the same issue too?
But there is an aspect regarding that. What I usually find out is that they have, or the Microsoft we had that.
The
Yeah,
what?
yeah. That you should sign in into your account before you're able
Okay,
to
yeah,
edit.
yes, okay, yes. Yes, okay, yeah, I forgot to say that too. There are probably maybe the version you are using is only on view only, that is you cannot save. That happens to people that maybe their
So
Microsoft Excel,
meanwhile, I already signed in the account.
yeah.
Exactly. So
I think you're in a noisy place, you're in a noisy environment.
account,
But
wait,
but
why that
but I guess the question you are asking. I guess the question you're asking. So if you have situations like that, two things is there's a possibility that the Excel version you are using is um is limited. Is limited. That is, you cannot save information. So if you are able to access the crack, like the Microsoft Excel crack, if you're able to access it, then you can use it so that you have access, you'll be able to use the full version of Microsoft Excel. But if you are not able to have access to the crack, then that means you most likely have to you most likely have to use a Google Sheet, or probably try to get another version of Microsoft Excel that you can use, that is free for you, that you can use. Juma, you have a question. I'm going to come to Oluwatosin's question in the chat box. I can see your question. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Please, you said something about protecting data. So
Yes,
I didn't
protection
get that
sheet.
because my network went off rather. So
Went
could
up.
you
Okay,
please
okay,
go over it
okay.
again, please?
Okay, so I'm just saying that maybe you want to protect your sheets. Say you are working in an organization that they give different persons different sheets to work on, and you don't want anybody to tamper with the other person's sheets. So you come here to the sheets and then you select protect sheets, and then you can protect the sheets based on whatever you want, whatever thing you want to protect. Probably you don't want the person to be able to delete a column or insert a column or insert a row or whatever the case is and put a password. So it's only someone that has a password that will be able to do an edit or that will be able to edit whatever details it is on that sheet. So if you don't have a password, you won't be able to do that. So that is what the protect sheet, that is what it is for. So Oluwatosin is asking, okay, it is in using another application. So I've copied this. I want to quickly answer Oluwatosin's question. Say, for example, I have these columns and I want to insert a column. So there are different ways to insert. You don't necessarily have to come to this insert. You can come here and insert. So you select this column. Because I want to insert a column, so you come here and select insert. So it's going to insert. What it's going to do is that it's going to shift this to the right and insert to your left. So if I select this now, it's going to shift this to the right and insert to my left. Hope I'm able to answer your question. Oluwatosin.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
So anytime you
Okay.
insert, it always inserts to the left and shifts the whole column to the right. The same thing happens to when you delete. When you delete, so that means when you want to delete, say for example, if I want to delete this column now, I'll select all of this and then delete. It's going to shift, it's going to delete it and then shift the preceding, the subsequent column and shift it to the other position. Any other question, please? Any other question? So as an assessment, this is not a serious assessment. I would just want us to go through some of the things that we've done in this class, like some of the things, the basic things I've explained. You can just play around some of these basic stuffs and see the results it gives you. Probably for those people that probably not used Microsoft Excel to that level before now, you can just play around some of these things and see or probably be able to notice certain new things that you've most likely not pay attention to before now. So is there any other question? Any other question? So in the absence of no question, I will be handing over to Adeyinka.
Thank you very much, Stella. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate our facilitator. Drop as many emojis. Thank you very much. So, do we have any question for Kali today? Do we have any question? Okay, yeah, definitely. The recordings to the session will be shared with us, right? And then we'll be meeting same time on Saturday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Please don't join in late. We want us to join on time so that we can be able to finish up on time also. Hope we all enjoyed today's session. How was it? How was today's session? Let me hear from us. How was today's session? Can we all mute our
Yeah,
mics?
it was awesome.
Oluwatosin, you're
It's
saying something. I can hardly hear you.
I love it. Maybe it's network. I said it was awesome. Like it took its time to explain better to us. It was awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So without any further ado, let's have a wonderful night's rest and see you guys same time on Saturday. Have a lovely evening. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Right, bye.